Welcome to Rich Tribe. Think about the traditional 9 to 5 for a second. We've literally been sold this dream for generations, right? Clock in at 9, clock out at 5, enjoy your evening, and retire comfortably. The whole shebang. But what if I told you the 9 to 5 as we know it is officially extinct? Today, we're doing a deep dive explainer on the hidden traps of a 9 to 5 job. We're exposing the shocking realities of modern corporate life that are keeping so many of us completely stuck in survival mode. Stick around, because this is going to change how you see your career. Let's look at the hard data, because it tells a totally different story. 44 hours and 48 minutes. That is the actual average American work week right now. Recent workplace data reveals that over 80% of U.S. workers are staying late 4 out of every 5 workdays. The lines are just completely blurred now. Between work chats buzzing at all hours, hammering out emails on your commute, and this endless pressure of hyper-productivity, the traditional 9 to 5 has quietly mutated. It's basically a 9 to 6 grind. You are giving away your absolute most valuable asset, your time, and you might not even realize it's happening. Okay, hold on a second though. I hear what you're saying about the extra hours, but let's be realistic here. Doesn't a corporate 9 to 5 at least guarantee job security? I mean, isn't that exactly why people put up with the grind? They just want that stability and low risk?
Man, I am so glad you brought that up because that is the exact myth keeping people trapped. Stability is largely an illusion. Let's look at a real-world example. TCS, one of India's absolute biggest employers. They recently announced a 7 to 8% salary hike for their employees. Sounds fantastic on paper, right? But break it down. Inflation is already eating that raise alive. And here is the real kicker. At the exact same time, they laid off around 12,000 employees. The primary targets? People who had been on the bench for just 3 to 6 months. In the corporate world, if you're between billable projects, you're viewed as a pure liability. It proves that loyalty literally means nothing when profit margins tighten. Your job can vanish overnight, no matter how stable the company seems.
And hey, it's not just the financial risk we're talking about. It's the massive physical and mental toll. A staggering 77% of professionals report experiencing burnout at their current jobs across almost all industries. When you're stuck in survival mode, living month to month, just constantly stressing over targets and deadlines, your creative spark literally dies. All your energy goes into just keeping your head above water.
Okay, wow. If it's really this bad, if the security is a myth and everyone's just burned out, why don't people just quit? Like, what's actually keeping them there?
Well, that brings us to a brilliant but totally insidious corporate invention: golden handcuffs. These are deferred financial incentives. Think unvested stock options, massive end-of-year bonuses, or graduated rewards just for sticking around. They're specifically designed by companies to trap high earners and skilled professionals. You might feel totally restricted and completely burned out, but then you look at that huge unvested bonus sitting just a few months away, and you feel like, I can't walk away now. You end up trading your personal freedom and your mental health for a delayed payday.
Wait, hold up. So you're talking about high earners here? Are you saying high earners struggle with money just like low-income earners? Because I always thought living paycheck to paycheck was strictly a low-income problem.
Honestly, that is one of the biggest misconceptions out there. According to recent market reports, a massive 57% of all Americans are currently living paycheck to paycheck. And yes, this absolutely includes the middle class and higher earners. It's a fundamental flaw with the psychological safety net people think a high salary provides. People just assume that once their salary hits a certain magical number, boom, their financial stress will vanish. But because of how they actually handle that money, they end up trapped in the exact same survival loop, entirely dependent on their employer just to cover next month's bills.
So why does this happen? It all comes down to the psychology of abundance. Get this, over a period where median wages remained largely flat, the size of the average new American home grew by 50%. It's a phenomenon called lifestyle creep, and it's a real game changer in the worst way. As soon as people earn a little more money, they immediately upgrade their lifestyle. They buy a bigger house, they lease a much nicer car, they get the newest iPhone. The income goes up, but the spending rises at the exact same pace. It completely wipes out the financial benefit of that higher salary.
The really crucial point is how this cycle reinforces itself. We call this the middle-class mindset trap. Here's how it goes. You earn a higher income, you immediately upgrade your lifestyle to match your peers, and you accumulate endless liabilities. We're talking car loans, heavy mortgages, credit card debt. There is just this immense emotional pressure from society to maintain a certain status. The result? By the time a lot of people hit 50, they might have paid down some debt, but they have zero passive income, no real wealth, and total, utter dependence on that next corporate paycheck just to sustain the illusion.
Okay,
Seeing it laid out like that is definitely eye-opening, but it really begs the question. If the core problem is that people are spending everything they make, does making more money actually solve the problem at all? Like, should people even be fighting for that big raise?
You've hit the nail on the head right there. Earning more does not fix the root issue. And here's why. Getting money and keeping money are two entirely different psychological skills. Getting money, that requires taking risks, being optimistic, putting yourself out there in your career. But keeping money requires the exact opposite. It requires humility, frugality, and a healthy dose of fear that what you've made could just be taken away. It requires you to accept that avoiding financial ruin is the real priority. Wealth isn't about how much you earn, it's about the gap between your ego and your income.
Now, before we reveal the definitive escape route from this trap, I want to ask you to do something quickly. If you're finding value in this explainer and want to learn how to truly master your money in your career, subscribe to Rich Tribe channel, like, comment, and share. It seriously helps us bring these deep dive insights to more people who need to break out of the matrix.
All right, let's get into the solution and see how you can actually build your freedom. Here is the actionable, fluff-free escape route used by experts in the FIRE movement. That's financial independence, retire early. Step 1 is frugality. You absolutely must live intentionally below your means to create a gap between your income and your expenses. Step 2, side hustles. Don't just veg out on the couch after 5 p.m. Monetize your evening hours with freelance work or an e-commerce gig so you aren't reliant on a single employer. Step 3, passive income. You have to buy assets like stocks or mutual funds before you buy luxury items. Let compound interest do the heavy lifting for you. And finally, geographic arbitrage. If you work remotely, take your high city salary and relocate to a lower cost area that will massively accelerate your savings rate. The ultimate goal here is to completely decouple your time from your money.
I want to leave you with this incredibly powerful thought from the book, The Psychology of Money. Wealth is the nice cars not purchased. Wealth is what you don't see. We are so deeply conditioned to judge success by outward appearances, right? The Instagram photos, the leased luxury cars, the designer clothes. But true wealth, it's the financial assets that haven't been converted into stuff yet. It is the ultimate flexibility. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to ask yourself this today. Are you using your paycheck to buy status, or are you using it to actually buy your freedom?